panelists, welcome back to the show. I'm Mark.
And I'm Steve.
And this is going to be a spoiler-full podcast about Spider-Man Noir, which can be found on Prime Video, which is season 1. And within this podcast episode, it's a spoiler-full podcast about episodes 1 through 4.
Careful, Mark, you can't say Spider-Man. It's Spider-Noir.
I said Spider-Noir.
You said Spider-Man Noir, so
Spider-Man. Yeah. I'm sorry, Sony. I screwed up. But yeah, we're a little bit behind, but we're having fun doing this as always. And obviously, the show has dropped. You could have watched it and watched it twice, if not 3 times right now. And what we say will not be spoilery, honestly, if you've watched it. If you haven't,
I don't know about you, Mark. I have watched all 8 episodes, even though we're just recording episodes 1 through 4. So I figured you had watched them all anyway. I just didn't have a chance to go back and rewatch.
Yeah, but can I remember anything I actually watched?
Absolutely not. Yeah, I remember a little bit. Because I just watched 5 through 8 for the first time like yesterday. So I remember a little bit of 5 through 8, but I'm really glad we're separating these, because in my thoughts and in my kind of my overall thoughts for these is that the first half really, to me, feels like a real detective noir show. The first 4 episodes we're getting the investigative stuff. There's a little bit of superhero stuff in there, but then the back half is definitely a superhero show.
Oh,
like
yeah,
explosions and fights and big scenes and stuff. So I kind of
superpowered stuff and everything else.
Exactly. So it really, for me, it broke up into this 1 through 4 and then 5 through 8. And so I thought, let's just do half and then pick up the other half next time or whenever. But I mean, I loved it. I know we haven't done the synopses yet, but we'll do the synopsis.
Yeah, let's go into overall thoughts. Yeah.
Well, I loved it, and it's weird because of my TV. I guess my TV is old or something. I got a Fire TV from several years ago. At first, the first 4 episodes I watched, it wouldn't let me switch between the black and white and the color. It didn't give me an option. It just showed me the color. And when I looked it up online, they said, yeah, that's some older TVs or something have that where they're not letting you switch. But after I'd watched the first 4 episodes, I went through my Apple TV and watched it going to Prime Video through my Apple TV, and that let me switch and see both versions of it through the Apple TV. So
Apple TV and Roku were the crucial kind of way of actually doing that. I have Apple TV. Our friend Dodie, who was on when we did Good Omens, stated she was watching the black and white, but I had the opportunity to flip-flop even during watching.
Yeah, that's what I did with my Apple TV. I was able to switch back and forth with it. So I really appreciate it. But the black and white was definitely the way to go. For me, the true color one really was almost too vibrant.
Right. Yeah, it's too bright.
And except for the only caveat I have to that is, except for Lamorne Morris's, Joe Robertson's wardrobe, which was very colorful, and you can't tell what the colors are in black and white. That was really about the only thing that really made the color stand out from the black and white. But the black and white, to me, like, I don't know about you, but like Nick Cage's face, I don't know how they shot him, but it looked like he was cut from stone, man. Like he looked like the hard-boiled detective that he was playing. And I thought he did a phenomenal job.
Yeah, the wig work was great on him to give him a full head of hair. Yeah, I thought it was amazing. His the makeup work on his face, get the chiseled chops out of that 30 look, the 30s look, I should say, everybody, 1930s. And then on top of that, his voice and how he spoke, and it's not your typical Nick Cage kind of vocal
very
styling.
Humphrey Bogart. Yeah, very Humphrey Bogart, old school Frank Sinatra detective type stuff, like that hard boiled. He really did a good, I mean, and just the way Nick Cage is one of those ones. I love him as an actor, but sometimes his movies are a little hit or miss. Sometimes he's way over the top, and then sometimes he's really great. Sometimes the movie calls for it, like Face Off calls for him to be over the top. And when you're playing a character who's playing another character, Face Off is just one of those. But anyway, so he's kind of hit and miss some movies. Then you have like Leaving Las Vegas. He won the Academy Award, Best Actor Academy Award for Leaving Las Vegas. So we know he's got acting chops.
Well, he has the Coppola blood in him, as we all know. That's his real name is Coppola, but he chose the name Nick Cage based upon a Marvel character who we know and we have covered, that Luke Cage.
I did not know that. I did not know that's where he got his name from. Very cool. Yeah.
So,
but overall, I really dug it, and I thought, like I explained, I think these first four are very much detective style. We saw some investigation. We saw, and I'll talk some more about that when we get into our actual points and stuff.
Yeah. The cool thing about this, he plays a character called Ben Reilly, who is Spider-Man or Spider or the Spider,
or
show.
Mr. Spider.
Yes, and that was utilized in comics for a couple of characters, not just particularly this one, because this is a kind of a late feature that they have done in Marvel Comics. But Ben Reilly was something that out of the Marvel Comics series was out of the Clone Wars of Spider-Man. So they cloned Peter Parker, as we know, right? But one of the clones still lived and still acted out as a version of Spider-Man with kind of like a hoodie and a whatever. And his real name, he didn't choose Peter Parker. He chose Ben Reilly.
Yeah, that's cool.
His name.
I like it. And I'll tell you the truth. Like I read an article that explained why, because of the whole rights issue, they couldn't use the name Spider-Man or Peter Parker.
Yeah.
If I had not read that article, I wouldn't even have noticed that. It wouldn't even cause me a blink because it was its own vehicle.
Yeah.
That it didn't bother me that they didn't call him Spider-Man. It didn't bother me that he wasn't
Same here.
Peter Parker at all. And I thought it was great because because it's placed in, the very first line of the very first episode. I was asked, what universe is this? And I said, I don't know. This is the only universe I ever known. I love the callback to Into the Spider-Verse, that we get here. And so it's just a lot of stuff is made it really, really great. And I'm glad we're devoting, going to kind of devote 2 episodes to this. TV Podcast Industries, who we always shout out, and we thank them for the shout outs they give us on their podcasts as well. I mean, I've even had their some of their feedback will mention me in their feedback, which is super cool. But TV Podcast Industries is doing multiple. They're recording, but they're only released. I think they're recording 2 episodes at a time, but they're only releasing them 1 at a time or something like that.
They just released episode 5, everybody. So if you guys are ahead of us, go there, check them out, and listen to us and our thoughts. But they will probably have a lot more. Derek and John are really, really cool in what their coverage is.
Yeah, it's really cool. And when you hear something that they really love, and I'm assuming they're passionate about this and they like this, unlike Punisher One Last Kill. Ooh, that was a tough one to listen to. But we're not talking about that right now. We both enjoyed Punisher One Last Kill. So you can go back, listeners, you can go back and find our coverage of Punisher One Last Kill right here on Panels to Pixels podcast or Pirate Core Entertainment, wherever you get your podcasts.
Exactly. For me, I really did enjoy the overall introduction. I love, and honestly, I do love this whole thing of going back in time, a different version. It reminded me of Batman with the lantern or whatever it was back in the days when it was 1920s. So it gave me that feel of avant-garde. But this is a different kind of Spider-Man. He has natural powers. He has natural webbing. Very much almost similar to Tobey Maguire's, which we get literally because now this is the 3rd interpretation because now it's kind of leaked out, everybody. Spoilers. There are 3 total that use organic web fluid from their arms or hands or whatever in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And now Nick Cage is one of them. Tobey Maguire's another, and another we will not talk about at this point. But we are getting all this coming out, and I really liked the visual look of how he is. He's got the top hat, he's got the trench coat, he's got the black mask, which is kind of with the eyes. They don't kind of blink or anything. They are what they are.
Yeah.
It kind of muffles his voice, which is really good. Very similar to what Deadpool used to joke about. It's like, it's the mask muffling my voice.
Yeah.
The thing is that it makes it so you don't know who it is, and it's always a question mark regarding about the person.
Yeah.
And it gives that Batman feel because of the detectiveness within it.
Absolutely.
So it's true detective work within it. And that's how Ben Reilly is throughout this episode and going forth. He's trying to push forth. And within this episode, I think it like his friend who was part of the papers, who is currently unemployed,
Joe Robertson. Yeah.
Joe Robertson.
Morris from New Girl. Yeah. Love him.
Love him. He's a great character, great person. And it's kind of a callback to Robbie Robertson from the Daily Bugle, as we all know from the comics. But the thing is, he's friends with Ben Reilly and knows about him being Spider-Noir
the Spider. Yeah. He even calls him Robbie a number of times in this series.
Yeah.
So that's a nickname for him. I love that you bring up Janet and Joe, because I think they were background characters that they gave us enough about to make us really care about them. And even the little kid who we didn't get a lot. Oh
yeah, I love that kid.
I love that kid. But yeah, we're gonna get more of him in the back half of the season. But we definitely got him in these first 4 episodes, and we got Janet and Joe in these episodes. I just absolutely, I loved it. I thought the background characters were great. I didn't even recognize Lucas Haas until I realized I saw his name, and I was like, wait. And then of course I saw it, and I saw the little kid from Witness, and I was like, oh, that is Lucas Haas. And it looks I mean, obviously, I don't know how I didn't recognize him. He's way older, and I didn't realize how much he's done. I went back and checked his IMDb.
Yeah,
he's done a lot of like one-offs and two. He's been working steadily since the 80s. 1 or 2 movies a year. Not doing a lot. Did a little bit of TV, but it was just, I was scrolling through his IMDb, and I saw, titles that I recognized, going, oh, I don't remember that being him. And then thinking back, and like I remember when he did a couple episodes of the very beginning of the season 1 of Criminal Minds, and I'll have to go back and rewatch those episodes, because now I'm remembering him in these things that I saw him in. And so I thought that was just great to see him. And even though we only get him for, again, half of the series, it's really, really cool that we just have this kind of these throwback actors, and that again, I hadn't. He's done such background work, but he's been steadily working for, the last 30, 40 years. So,
yeah. I remember him from Witness, just like you. I remember him from Solar Babies, if you remember that in the 80s as well.
Yeah, that's an old one. Yeah.
And then on top of that, he's, like you said, he sporadically showed up. So his face is very prominent. As he's aged, he still looks pretty much the same, but now he's got like a mustache and a goatee and everything else. And they kind of made it work. And honestly, he's an older actor right now. And that's how I think of him, as a character actor. And I thought he was perfect for it, especially for the character he played. And I really did embrace him. I did like Karen Rodriguez as Janet, like as you mentioned, and that was Ben's assistant or his secretary at the office, who was teaching that little kid how to read and do math and everything else. So
yeah, really, really cool. All right, before we get too far, let's do these synopsis just so people know where we're coming from as we bounce around for these 4 episodes. Episode 1, Step Into My Office. In the series premiere, private investigator Ben Reilly is hired to track down Jimmy Addison, a superpowered criminal who attempted to assassinate the formidable mob boss Silvermane. Though he retired his superhero persona 5 years ago, Ben's old life quickly pulls him into the shadows. Yeah, this is a great introduction to the character. Yeah. And just getting to see how he reacted to Addison when he had powers, and then the other guy, Donegal. And I thought it was great. I don't know if you caught I don't know if it was meant to be, but the whole car door thing, it was very homage to, Midnight Run, 48 Hours, what it is, with
Yeah.
hitting him with the car door. I thought was just really, really cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's the first episode. We kind of get introduced to this character. We get the backstory about Ruby and what happened to her. We know why he hung up the costume, and so now he's just a PI. He's tracking down cheating wives and
And not using his powers at
and
all.
not yet for the most part. Yeah, I mean, he used a little bit, probably getting in and out of that apartment, up on the from the balcony and stuff when he's
Mhm.
taking pictures of the mayor and Cat Hardy there in the episode. So we see him sporadically use his powers. In this whole first half, he uses them, but it's very sparse that he uses them. He used them to escape off the bridge.
Yeah.
He uses them to hide from Silvermane. Was that in this? Wait, that was in the second half. But anyway, so I'm gonna get him confused. But he was very sparse in using his powers.
Yeah.
But he used them enough so that we knew who he was.
Mhm.
Especially in that opening scene where they show him, before he hung up the costume, swinging through the city and doing all the Spider-Man stuff that Spider-Man does.
Mhm.
So I thought that was really cool. That this first episode. The second episode is called Tread Lightly, and
Mhm.
where Ben delves into the mysterious death of fellow PI Patrick Donegal. Meanwhile, Silvermane attempts to unearth who hired Addison to kill him, while sultry lounge singer Cat Hardy hires Ben to locate Flint Marco. Yeah, Flint Marco, the Sandman. I thought that was, again, we're seeing these characters that we kind of know them from
Mhm.
the MCU or from Marvel, but they're a slightly different twist on them.
It's a more of a realistic twist, I think.
Mhm.
Very much almost like what we get with other characters that we do get from Spider-Man in the actual Spider-Man lore. Flint has the ability to make sand and whatnot, but also more cement-like, to be
Mhm.
very punch-worthy and things of that nature. And I really think, and I really admire that they kind of took it back to a more basic format of the character,
Mhm.
not as more flamboyant as it would be in a comics or what
Yeah.
we've seen on the theater or in the cinematic format. But yeah, I really did admire that. I did admire the actor who does play Flint Marco as well. That is Jack Huston or
Mm.
Huston.
Episode 3, titled Double Cross. The criminal underworld tightens its grip when mob boss Silvermane hires Ben to uncover a rat suspected to be operating within his own organization. Yeah,
Mm.
this was a really good episode, the good plot, moving the plot forward of Ben suddenly having these separate investigations that all tie together.
Mhm.
As soon as he figures out that Cat Hardy is the one, obviously, who's giving. He has that whole scene when he goes to the hospital after the raid on the docks, and all the cops that are injured and stuff, and he's talking to and interviewing them all was really great when he figures out the mayor is the one who tipped off, or Cat's the one who tipped off the mayor, who she then told the
Yeah.
rest of the cops. Or then he then told the cops to go get Silvermane, and of course he broke that up and had to then correct that in the fourth episode. A mistake I'll never make again. Ben wrestles with the consequences of his investigative work as the mob's web of corruption and superpowered threats grows ever more complicated in 1930s New York. Yeah, it took me, like it was the second. I don't know. It was as I was watching through it, it really, the time frame I couldn't remember, because I couldn't remember Prohibition. I couldn't remember what year's Prohibition was. I couldn't remember if it was after World War One or
Yeah,
after
like the
World War Two.
20s or something like that.
Yeah,
And
so
yeah.
it was 20s to 1933. I had to look it up.
Mhm.
Was Prohibition. So we know this is in the early 30s because it's after World War One, but it's
Yep.
before World War Two, and it's before the end of Prohibition, which I thought was interesting because it took me a while to figure out that Prohibition was still on, because they're drinking a lot. Like,
Well,
like
they had to
it's
go to speakeasies in order to do so,
yeah,
and
but we don't see anybody like sneaking around saying that they're hiding, that the booze is being hidden, or using secret knocks to get
yeah.
into the bars. We don't see the cops going after any of these things, which is fine, because we don't need that. But
Mm.
it was just one of those things that I went back and forth in my head going, wait, is it illegal or is it not illegal? And when I finally figured out, okay, wait a minute, this
It
is
is
definitely
illegal.
19. Yeah, this is definitely early 30s. This is before Prohibition ended. So we get a time frame for it. We know that it's World War One. We know that Ben is a veteran of World War One. We see some of that, and we're going to get more of that in the back half of
Yes.
the show. But yeah, I again, it was really great seeing him do these investigative type things.
Yeah. Yeah, I really did enjoy that. I loved his rapport with his own secretary, as we
Mhm.
all know, but with Janet Ruiz. And I really love the idea of how, honestly, with the cultural aspect within this show, and it's based in the 30s, but back then it wasn't very cultural. It was very white oriented.
Yeah, you see the scene when Joe goes to the hotel, which is my own. This is going to be my own one of my few quibbles I have with the show.
Okay.
They didn't give us was when Joe Robertson goes
Hmm.
to the hotel to find Addison's widow.
Hmm.
There's a sign on the front door that says whites only, and so he goes around to the back and he sees the bellhop there smoking, and the bellhop lets him in to the building. How did he find out which room she was in? We don't
That
see any of that.
that's a good
All we
question.
all we know is the one guy tells him that she's at this hotel. Then he goes there and suddenly he's knocking on her door. And I'm kind of like, okay, we missed something in there, which
Yeah.
not a huge deal, but it did the second time watching it, it definitely took me out of it for a minute, going, wait a minute, how did you figure out what room she was
Considering
in?
the obstacles he has to go through with it. Yeah,
Exactly. It's not like
yeah.
he's going to be able to just walk up to the front desk and say, "Hey, like Ben did when Ben walks in and he's looking for silver. He wanted to find
Hmm.
the hotel room that Cat Hardy went to.
Hmm.
He goes in there and he pretends he says he's looking for what did he say? Um, Oh, he said Boris Karloff. Yeah, he says I'm looking for Boris
Oh
Karloff's
yeah.
room, and the guy says no, there's no Boris Karloff. And he says, oh well, maybe he's using his stage name Frankenstein. I thought was just hilarious. And there's the moments of levity in this show. Again, I didn't write a lot of them down, but they're really really cool, and we see
The
him do
dialogue
some.
is really, really good in it. Yeah, whoever the
Yeah,
writers were really key on it. Yeah.
yeah, and I love that we do see a few times when he missteps as when he Tai Chi, I thought was just like I don't like did they have Tai Chi back then? Like I mean I know Tai Chi's been around, but I just did white people know about Tai Chi back then?
Back then, really? Yeah, no.
Yeah, I was like okay, but I was like whatever, we'll go with it because I thought it was funny. It was a funny moment, and then of course we see him go to again another one of those scenes that watching it the second time I
Hmm.
kind of went, oh yeah, I forgot about this scene where he goes to his old apartment and breaks into the wall and has to steal his suit
Yeah, yeah,
because
because he retired his suit at that point, and
yeah,
it's
and
just
he
like
moved.
he acted
Yeah,
as if he was like something for
like the superintendent or a
or a
plumber,
plumber or
to yeah,
something. Yeah, there's something there. There's a leak. I gotta go and do that. He
yeah,
breaks it, and then he disappears, and he
yeah,
has his suit.
yeah.
And there's a big hole.
I loved it. I thought it was hilarious because it just came out of nowhere. It was one of those moments in the show that was very superhero like, but it was very superhero show like to have him do something like that. But I was just like, well, this is hilarious. He gets a pair of fake glasses and puts on
Yeah.
a fake persona. I thought was really really cool. But yeah, so it's let me see.
I also want to add to something too, because when he gets Felicia Hardy, who actually comes out to him to
Mhm.
hire him at a certain point. Now, as we all know from comic books, everybody, Felicia Hardy is what? The cat in
Oh, I did
the
not
the
realize that.
comics.
Okay. Okay.
So it's a white woman with white hair with the big black mask and everything else.
Gotcha. So
A
not an Asian
possible love
woman.
interest for the original Peter Parker Spider-Man, but in this case,
Oh,
she's an Asian woman beautiful, has a great voice, who actually sings for Silvermane himself, who's played by Brendan Gleeson, and his little speakeasies that he has, so that way people could drink and have fun. And yeah, it's kind of like she's trapped in this society. She's part of the evil element, but trying to get away from it, but also has some sort of little affinity towards our Ben Riley, who is the spider. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's kind of classic Spider-Man tropes, but with the feel of Batman and Catwoman, if you think
Yeah, that's
about it.
great because I didn't even know that, and it's still played fine for me. Like I
Yeah.
didn't even know that backstory of the character name at least, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, I thought that was great. You know, so the detective things that he does that we see in this first half is he tries to get Addison. We see him at the bar. He shows the picture. He's
Mhm.
got the old picture from his army days. He goes, "Do you think that's the guy?" And the woman's like, "Maybe, I don't know." And so you know he's trying to find Addison. He was hired. We found out he was hired by Winston, who also hired Donegal to do the same thing.
Yeah.
Um, you know, we see him get pictures of the mayor with Cat. We see now. I'm gonna have to rewatch the second half of the season. Does
Mhm.
the guy Carmody, the guy that came and hired him, that claimed that Cat was his wife, his cheating wife, obviously was not.
No,
Does he ever come back up? Do you remember if he comes back
I
up
don't remember him
later
coming back at
in the
all.
show? So he just it's kind of like Cat used it's. I'm trying to figure out exactly what the point was. I mean, I understand of the writers, the point was to get Ben the
Misdirect.
information.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
to
yeah, I think it was all about misdirect at that point. It could have been Silvermane that sent somebody out there as that guy to throw off Ben.
yeah, I don't know. I didn't get that because then when he sees the guy later, oh, that's what it is. The guy later reveals that that's what now I remember from it is in this first half. He finds the guy. He finds the guy, and that's the guy that he talks to, who shows him his leg, that his leg is all messed up and he wouldn't be able to climb the balcony to get the pictures of that he wanted. So that's why he hired Ben
Ah,
to get
okay.
him for him. He's like a smut merchant or he's like another PI, but he makes money by blackmailing people. That's what it was.
Mm.
Now I remember. I don't know why that didn't click. So that was the whole point. The whole point just happened to be he hired the spider, not knowing that it was the spider, obviously. So okay, that clears up that part of the story. So that's why we never
Yeah.
see him again because there's no point of him again. Because it was basically to get Ben the information so that he has. And I love that scene when he comes in the next morning and he's all hungover from drinking with Donegal, and Flint Marco has disappeared, you
Mhm.
know, but he says he gave the negatives to him. You know, I love that again, it shows us the softer side of the spider of Ben when he realizes that Cat and Flint are a thing. And so he throws her the negatives without even being paid and goes on. And then Janet, you know, obviously Janet gets mad at him the next day saying, well, we needed that money to pay bills and you needed that money to pay me. And so
Yeah.
she, you know, kind of quits, which I got the feeling they've done that dance a few times of that lamp was given to me by my mother, you know, where she's claiming that she's going to quit and never come back, but she actually does come back. So, yeah. So, uh, we have him doing detective work. Silvermane hires him to find the rat, which he does.
Mhm.
Cat hires him to find Flint Marco, as you talked about. I love the little trick with the money that he did. And of course, it doesn't pay off until episode 5. We find out exactly how he did it. But we see him looking at the money. We see him knowing that the money is marked.
Mhm.
And
Yep.
then later, when he's got to misdirect Silvermane to somebody else, we see the end of, again, towards the end of episode 4 was when we have that scene, or is it episode 3? Is it episode 4? Where we don't know who gets shot. I guess it is episode 3 that
Mm.
goes into episode 4. And then, of course, we have the ending of episode 4, which is Cat jumping or kind of semi falling out of the window, which I don't know about you, until she actually sat on the windowsill. Okay. I didn't realize that was what she was going to do.
Mhm.
Okay. So, okay. Yeah. Now, so she recognized him as the spider when he was attacking Silvermane's convoy going to the dock.
Yep.
And that's why she jumps out the window and Ben ends up catching her, which lucky for her, he hadn't, we know again from the second half, we know that he can run out of webbing and it's got to
Load.
it's got to kind of reload or whatever, regrow in his system. So she's lucky he hadn't ran out of webbing because
Yep.
how else would he have caught her?
But then again,
But
she is a cat, so she has 9
she might
lives.
have, yeah, she might have. We don't know. Yeah, we might have seen something from her. But I thought that was good because, like I said, I until she actually sat on the windowsill, I didn't know what she was going to do. But as soon as she sat on the windowsill, I was like, oh no, she's going to jump out that window. And of course,
Yeah.
that's what she does. But yeah, I absolutely loved it. There's so many things in here. Again, this first half was very much the detective leading us into the second half, which is going to be more superhero
Yeah.
type. So
There was a couple of things in like episode 2 where Ben dons his spider suit and ambushes Silvermane's convoy at the docks, and then instead of just web slinging them out of danger, Ben takes like a heavy approach just to attack them fiercely.
yeah,
With the goons and everything, and directly threatening Silvermane at certain points. So he kind of dons the costume again.
right. And then they're in his office. That's episode 3 when they're in his office, or is it episode 2 or 3 when they hear on the radio when she comes to hire him. They hear on the police band, or they hear that somebody's attacking the diamond exchange, and Kat says, "Oh, that must be Flint. You got to go get him." And it ends up not being Flint. It ends up being Megawatt, which is what the IMDb
Electro.
which is Electro, yeah, but apparently maybe Electro and Sandman are obviously those are copyrighted names. They probably can't actually
Correct.
use
So it was pretty cool that they used Megawatt though.
yeah, I thought that was great, and that whole fight between him and the spider was really cool as well. When Ben figures out how he's powering himself, so he shuts down the electricity and lets him basically wear himself out. He basically
like a battery, it dies down. Yeah.
Yeah, and then Ben defeats him with the same signpost that he was using to beat on the spider. And then, of course, we have the mayor. We have the mayor clutching, onto the spider's kind of coattails there and going, "Me and the spider are going to clean this city up." And
yeah,
kind of
like a Batman situation. Yeah, and he's like, no,
team up here. No, we're not. I'm not part of you, because he recognized that even though the mayor might be wanting to clean up the city, he's also in Silvermane's pocket as well.
Exactly. So, yeah. It's everything is all interconnected to some degree, and he doesn't want to be affiliated with it.
Yeah, exactly.
There are other characters within the show that I do really like, the kind of sub characters, Silvermane's henchmen, as it were. We have Scott MacArthur as Perry, who follows them, and we all know Scott from other shows like Running Point that's on Netflix. It's the basketball family who with a whole bunch of people. The Mick, he was in No Hard Feelings and The Righteous Gemstones as well, if you remember that. So he's a great character actor, but he puts on that kind of squint look to give him that look and feel of like a mobster within that 30s attitude, which is so tongue-in-cheek, but it works perfectly for the character that is representing. And I really do enjoy it because he's always on every stakeout, everything that's going on that Silvermane has put forth for his guys. And I really do enjoy it. We also get, you already mentioned him, which would be Abraham Papula, who plays no, we didn't talk about Tombstone.
No,
sorry.
We talked about Lucas. No, we only talked about Lucas Haas playing Winston, who's kind of the fixer. Who I that exchange between where I really saw him come out and really did a great job was that exchange between him and Silvermane when he's telling Silvermane, "No, don't go to the docks. Let me go there first."
Yeah.
So I can scope it out, make sure everything is cool, and then you can come. I thought that was a really cool exchange. And of course, Silvermane saying, "Well, maybe you're the one trying to take me out." So we get this understanding that Silvermane's already suspicious of everybody in his organization.
Oh yeah, he is. Yeah, he doesn't know who to trust. Even Jack Huston, who plays Sandman, and Flint Marko at this point,
Right.
and they utilize that name constantly. But within this, we do find out that he's having problems with his powers and everything else.
Which that's an interesting point because again, that plays off more in the second half, but we don't see anybody else like the big black guy who Joe Robertson talks to, and he finds out about Addison's widow, tells him that, oh yeah, he's getting sick and he's getting sicker every time he uses his powers. But we don't see that with Megawatt. We don't see that with Lincoln. Lonnie Lincoln, the other guy who was in, who we're going to find out more about in the second
Tombstone.
half. Tombstone is what his name is as a super villain or a character. But yeah, it's interesting because really we only see Flint as being the only one who's suffering ill effects from whatever was done to him or whatever the doctor is trying to do to him. Because we do get that quick mention from Lincoln of Dr. Faber, again, a name we're going to find out more in the second half of the season. We'll talk more about that doctor later. But it was interesting. He's the only one that we're seeing that kind of ill effects from. But we know eventually all of them are going to get sick from it. Or
anybody with these adaptive powers they have are suffering. And it seems like Ben is the only one that is not.
Right. And we'll find out more about that when we get into the second half,
like
the more
superhero.
Half. Yeah, the more superhero, like I said, the more superhero part of the show, which I really thought was brilliant. I hadn't thought about it until today. Again, rewatching the first half today, when I really saw that, there is a break here where we see a separation of the two.
Where it's more investigative, more mob based in the very beginning of the first half, and then the last half is more superhero.
Yeah, we're gonna get the backstory of how Ben got his powers.
And we do get more Cageisms, as I like to call them, how Nicolas Cage betrays himself.
Yeah,
and
I loved when he's in the car with the mobsters. They're taking him to see Silvermane, and he says, "Oh, you don't know nothing." And Ben goes, "Well, double negative, but we'll move on from there." Just like it's one of those things. It's one of those moments when, again, it wasn't until watching it this second time today that I realized, because when he first started fighting those guys, like, how come he's not using his powers? Because he could just wipe the floor with these two guys.
Yeah,
and I realized no, because he wants to be taken to Silvermane. He wants to find out what
conversation with him.
Yeah. So he throws the toaster at he throws the toaster at the one guy and breaks his nose, and then later he says, "Oh, I'm sorry about the nose." He goes, "Oh, it wasn't my nose; it was his nose." And that's when he uses his powers to jump off the bridge, and he sticks to the underside of the bridge there. I just thought, again, it's one of those moments where you just go, it's a little thing, but it's just like you said, those Cageisms that he does, where he does something really demonstrative, but it really is. He's really brilliant in this show, and he may not get any props for it, but he definitely, again, I love Nicolas Cage. I don't want anyone to think I'm talking crap about Nicolas Cage.
No.
I think he's great. I think he's a great actor. I just think there are some movies, and maybe it's direction, or maybe it's something else, but where he just goes way over the top. There's other movies where he's more subtle. Con Air has some more subtle things.
And Face Off was one where he goes a little bit over the top.
He gets over the top. Snake Eyes, he's way over the top in Snake Eyes. The other one I was thinking about today, The Rock, he kind of goes back and forth between understated and way over the top in The Rock. With Sean Connery.
Yeah. We did cover that. Ben Beck and I have covered a lot of those movies on Adrenaline Cinema podcast. So if you guys really want to know about Cageisms, go back and listen to those podcasts. They were fun to do.
So yeah,
Ben
again,
Beck from Wilhelm, everybody. Just to let you know.
I really liked it, the show, and I'm really hoping that we're going to see more of this character. I hope we're going to see a second season. I don't know. Again, the way they left it off, and again, we're not talking specifically about the second half, but a little bit into that. The way they left it off, he's definitely still out there, and they definitely can do more things with that character. So I hope we get a second season. I don't know if we will or not. I don't see him being brought into like the MCU proper unless they find some way to like
multiversal way of doing it.
Yeah,
that's the only way it's going to
like
happen.
I said, some way that Into the Spider-Verse did it, or that the Spider-Verse movie,
we
cartoons
still
did it.
have another, not Into the Spider-Verse, but it's called something else. But
Well, there's supposed to be a third one. Yeah, they've always been talking that it was supposed to be a trilogy.
it takes a while for them to film that because of the animation and everything too.
Right.
So
we'll just see if that ever. I did see an article where people were talking about whether that's going to come to fruition or not. We'll see.
It's been in process for years, so
yeah,
we'll
exactly. So we'll see. I'm hoping to see more of this character, this world, because I think it's a great, it's a really cool concept.
Yeah,
and I think they could do, if they do the right thing with it, they get the right writers, they could do something really, really cool with it. Try to just remake the same thing in season 2, do something different. But again, I loved it. I can't wait for us to, next week or whenever we get to talk about episodes 5 through 8. There's a whole lot. The reason, again, part of the reason why I only wanted to do half of this is there's a lot to delve into in episodes 5 through 8. And there was a lot. I mean, there's not a whole lot in 1 through 4, but I felt there was enough for us to get a good Panels to Pixels podcast out of these first 4 episodes. Whereas I don't think we could do it justice by trying to do all 8 at once. I think we would have missed something there.
I think so.
But I appreciate you letting us split these up and do them in two different parts. But yeah, these first 4 episodes, I wish I started to this afternoon to rewatch them again so I could get some quotes. But I didn't have the time to do it. So I don't have any quotes.
I have a few per episode if you want.
Yeah, please.
All right.
Because they might remind me of some. I've already stayed. Some of the ones that really stood out to me, I've already shared, but I didn't have them actually in my notes. I was just remembering them. So what you got, sir?
Well, episode 1, there's one that comes from Ben Raleigh saying, someone once asked me what universe this was. And he says, am I an extraordinary man? Yes. Am I an ordinary man? Yes. I'm both. I'm neither, but aren't we all?
Yeah,
very
really good one.
Poignant to who he is because he lives in between.
Mm-hmm.
Another one from him from that particular episode would be, wherever I go, the wind follows and the wind smells like rain.
Such non sequiturs that have nothing to do with anything.
Exactly, but that's kind of cageisms right there, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Another one from Ben from that time would be, sometimes I let matches burn down to my fingertips just to feel something, anything. For the fact that at this point, he's kind of lost it at this point. He feels numb to the world, so he needs to feel alive because he kind of let go of his spider ways. So I thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
Episode 2, he puts forth saying, I used to be the spider, this city's hero, always on guard, always ready to swoop in and save the day, which is true because he was, and everybody remembers him. By this episode, the second episode, everybody is remembering, when is the spider going to come back? When is it?
Yeah.
And this is where he gets his costume back. He has to break in and grab it.
Well, I love it, like when he's fighting with Megawatt, and that couple is saying, "Well, it looks like he's missed a few steps," and the woman's like, "Oh no, he looks pretty good to me." And then after he defeats Megawatt, the guy is like, "Oh, I told you he was back."
And like, no, it was all her.
It's all her. But I thought, it was great to see. I love that big hat that he has. Obviously, it's a different hat than he wears normally. It was just when he's sitting in the car with Silvermane, and it's just really cool. And again, we're gonna get more in the back half with him, but I just that was great. Go ahead. I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
No. One more line just out of the second episode, which is very true to Spider-Man lore, everybody. Ben Reilly states, Ruby once told me, with great power comes great responsibility.
Yeah.
And that was his wife, I guess, that had passed away.
No, she was remember when
his fiance.
And it wasn't even really technically his fiance because he hadn't had a chance to ask her.
Yeah,
remember he bought the ring. He was going to ask her to marry him. That's when the other guy killed her. So
yeah. And then he continues on saying, well, she was the greatest responsibility I ever had, and I failed her. the
Mm-hmm.
spider failed her. After that, I didn't want the power or responsibility, meaning that it showed him kind of very similar to Peter Parker when he let Uncle Ben down by letting the guy rob the wrestling match and then leave
Mm-hmm.
and then wind up killing Uncle Ben. And that's it. It was his responsibility. He felt it at him time at that time for himself that, because he had all this power, he still had the responsibility to do the right thing. So it's the same continuous loop for all these people who are spiders, everybody. So I thought it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Episode 3. This is funny. Ben Riley going, what guy spoke to Silvermane while watching Winston scramble to prove his innocence? What guy? I don't know. The next one from that same episode, Silvermane saying, the quicker you prove it, the quicker they die. The quicker you prove it, the quicker they die. The quicker you prove it, the quicker they die. Constantly, over and over again. Meaning that he's trying to force something out of Ben. And Ben is like holding off. Lastly, Ben saying, Winston is the man with all the answers. Let's see what Vera has to say. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Really good. Again, that whole thing, and again, we don't get the payoff until the 5th episode when he explains that whole scene there at the graveside when he's able to pin the rat being Winston. There is really great when we see how he planned it, how he executed it. We see we see him break into Silvermane's house, and he gets to the safe and we see him take the money, but we don't know what he's going to do with the money until later. So I thought that was, that's that moment when Silvermane wakes up because the door bangs and he's looking around, he's looking everywhere, and Ben's up again using his powers. He's up on the ceiling, sticking to the ceiling of the room. So yeah, again, just those few moments where he did enough with his powers to let us know he's Spider-Man. But also not so over the top that we forgot that he's this detective too. So and there's this, I think it's in this first half when he says something to Janet about, oh, you forget I do this for a living, all right. I'm really, and she's like, oh yeah, you are a detective. Right. So
yeah.
That was really cool. Like she's the one that goes to the police station to get Flint Marco's his arrest record. She comes back and we can tell that she's done that plenty of times before because all the police officers know her name. They know what she's there to do. And the one guy who takes the sandwich from her is just like, okay, what do you need? Those moments
Karen
that are
knew, Janet always knew how to get to those guys and get the information out of them because she knew them personally. And it was so cool.
Yeah.
But there's more to Janet that we do get to see in the second half that I love.
Yeah.
I just love. Same thing with Robbie Robertson too.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, and then even then Ben at the very end is like, what? I thought it was amazing and funny in the second half. We'll get into that when we get in there. There's a lot more going on too, because in the second half, we got more characters. We kind of mentioned him. I mentioned him earlier in Mistake. That would be Abraham Papula as Tombstone. And then we got Andrew Robinson, who plays Ogden Faber. And Andrew Robinson hasn't been really much in the limelight of anything lately. But we'll remember him from Hellraiser, if you remember that movie way back in the day. I really do enjoy that actor, and I'm so glad that we get him in this show. Not just Hellraiser, but he was in the movie Cobra in 1986 with Stallone, Pumpkinhead 2, I believe. And Dirty Harry in 1971. He's the one that has the broken nose.
Yep. Plays the bad guy. Plays the bad guy in Dirty Harry. Yeah. So he's been around for a while doing a lot of different things. So it was really cool.
We have a lot to look forward to when we get to the second half that I'm gonna just like gush over. Because a lot of the character actors in there are really, really good. And then we get into the super stuff more so. And more the background of Ben as well. So yeah, that's not a spoiler for the fact that if you're already here and you're still here and you've already watched the episodes, why are we
Yeah, I hope you've all watched all 8 episodes, so we're not spoiling anything for you
Yeah.
with these little things that we're giving away from the second half. But definitely, come back next week, or hopefully next week we'll get you,
Or the following week,
or the
depending
following
when
week.
we could get the episode out to you guys.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll get episodes 5 through 8 out to you.
Yep.
That's all I have.
Well, same here. The only thing, I didn't really write anything down, but the needle drops were based within that time period. And I just love the music within that time too. It fit the motif and the visual and the aura of the show when it came to it. So they are on Spotify, everybody. Just look for Spider-Noir on Spotify. And guess what? There will be a whole soundtrack. I kind of mentioned that too with what the other podcasts that I've been doing. We've been doing the Vampcast, and guess what? There's a whole Vampire Lestat artist podcast, like Spotify playlist that you could actually do from the show itself too. So a lot of these shows are being concurrent. What's going on? They have their own podcast too, because no sooner after you get off of the Prime Video of the episodes, you do get the podcast that they have on Prime Video. So you get the official look from the people who are in the show, and go listen to that as well. But we are doing this because we love the show and we're fans of the show, and we want to give our output and our thoughts, because that's how we started back in the day, before there were podcasts from the show about the show.
Exactly.
But that's how we did it. We did it from Punisher all the way up, and we're still going to continue doing so.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I have no more quotes. I have no notes. We do have comic news. There's new trailers that have been dropped. The new Supergirl trailer has been dropped, and it was really good. Makes me want to go see it more and more. A lot of people are giving, I think her name is Millie Alcock.
Yeah.
She's been getting criticism about her face and things of that. Really,
people
don't step to that low expectation about these people or thoughts. To me, honestly, I thought she was really good at the very end of Superman when we got it. I'm looking forward to seeing what we get out of her for this particular movie. I think it's going to be very dark in comparison to what we got years ago from Helen Slater from the original Supergirl from 1983.
Yeah, 80 something. I don't remember. I remember having a crush on Helen Slater, but other than that,
she was also in Smallville too, and she played Supergirl's mom too, if you remember that.
She did. Yeah. So that's I haven't had a chance to see the new trailer yet. I didn't see. I guess there's a brand new day.
Trailer it's amazing.
Out also. I haven't watched it yet, so I probably, when we get done here, I may watch those trailers, and we may because that Supergirl's dropping next week, right?
Yeah, in another week. Yeah. It's
so
like
we'll
all these movies are coming out. Everybody, it's
so
going to be
covering
amazing.
that pretty soon as well to get that to y'all. I'm looking forward to it. Since she showed up at the end of Superman, I've been wanting to see this take on it. I just can't wait to see what we get. So yeah.
So we got a lot coming up for us too. Steve has mentioned it before in previous podcasts. We got a lot of content coming. We got Supergirl. We got Spider-Man Brand New Day, July 14th, and eventually later on towards the end of the year, obviously, Avengers Doomsday, which we're gonna get. There's more and more content. Everybody's leaking stuff out, but I prefer to see the trailers as they come now to see what we get. And I'm starting to see a lot of cool stuff from the stuff that we're really going to get most recently. And I'm really looking forward to that. And I can't wait for it. That's about it for that, for podcast recommendations. So, Steve.
Still Slaying, a Buffyverse podcast is back. I believe you guest hosted on one of their episodes. I haven't listened to it yet, but it's out. They've dropped 2 or 3 episodes of Buffy and Angel, so those are out for you to peruse. Dragoncast is back as well. The new season of House of the Dragon starts. We're recording this on Saturday, June 20th, and I believe the new House of the Dragon season starts June 21st. So those Dragoncast from Podcastica will be back. Both those podcasts are on podcastica.com.
Awesome. Yeah, same thing on podcast. We highly do recommend our friends there. I've been on podcast so many times, and so is Steve as
Yeah.
well. But they are friends of ours. We love what Jason has in his content on his network as well. So Wilhelm is another one that I highly recommend with Ben Beck and what he does there with his interviews. He's putting out more and more content. He's doing more and more conventions. If you're on the East Coast, please go to Rhode Island Comic Con, New Jersey Comic Con. He'll be out there. He'll be moderating panels, and it's amazing. You could also check out Run for Your Lives. They have covered something that myself and other people have covered on Adrenaline Cinema, which is really cool. Their take of They Live. They did a cover of they covered that particular movie. So I gave them the full props on that. I said, hey, have fun with it. We did too. They also did Anaconda, the new Anaconda film that just came out with Paul Rudd and Tawny Newton and Jack Black in it. And I really did enjoy that movie. It was a good comedic take on it. It was kind of Jumanji Dark Side, in my opinion, with Anaconda in it. So check that out. Check their thoughts on that. All you have to do is go to podcastka.com. Also, check out Buffalo that they do as well with Daphne Paik, our friend Jeff, and Jerry Gomez, who you've all heard probably on Adrenaline Cinema podcast at one point. So with that, with this, we didn't really put any feedback out there because we have been in and out of everything. So I haven't really been promoting things. But Steve, tell them where they could be, send some sort of feedback if they like.
As always, you can check out all of all the other podcasts on piratecoreentertainment.com. There's links for all the panels, all the podcasts, including Panels to Pixels podcast and all the other ones on our network. So check that out. Again, piratecoreentertainment.com.
Correct. There'll always be links. I'm still working on a lot of things because we've added a few. We got the Famcast. Famcast is going to have its own. Originally, it was on Adrenaline Cinema podcast for Interview with the Vampire, but now it's going to be the Dark World, as we call it. So anything vampires, werewolves, anything that's sinister and dark and horror, we're going to put on that. But the Vampcast will solely be mostly for the Vampire Lestat and Interview with the Vampire series. So, because if you actually look up the Vampcast, guess what? You get Lara and Billy with an IE that are known as the hosts, which is great too. I love the fact that they are prominent when you Google search that. We have the Pyrocore Music Podcast as well. That's going to be out there. We have the Kaiju Cast podcast, which is all Godzilla and Kaiju related. So I'm working on to getting that. So you have all the links. You just go to piratecoreentertainment.com. Obviously here, you could submit your feedback as well. You go to that, website. You'll find our email, panels2pixels1@gmail.com. Panels, 2 is spelled TO, and pixels and the number 1@gmail.com. You know what to do. All you have to do is write out your thoughts. You can record yourself, send it as an attachment. We'll play it on the next episode and discuss it. We could be found on Facebook, facebook.com, Panels to Pixels. Same thing with Instagram. As far as everything else, we do have ratings and reviews for Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Give us a 5-star review if possible. Be greatly appreciated. But along with that, that's about it. Where can listeners hear us, Steve?
Well, obviously, I'm heard right here on Panels to Pixels podcast, and I send voicemails to various podcasts that our friends do, and they will play those from time to time. Sometimes they get lost in the shuffle. Sometimes I forget. But yeah, you can hear my voice pop up occasionally as guest host on other places. And of course, Mark and I occasionally will throw out an Adrenaline Cinema podcast podcast movie review as well. I think we're due Lethal Weapon 3 here at some point.
Yes.
That we've got to get together and do. So
got to get back to that old adrenaline vibe. Yeah. Anyhow, you can hear me as always, same here on Panels to Pixels podcast, Kaiju Cast podcast, Adrenaline Cinema podcast, the Vampcast podcast, and the Pyrocore Music podcast as always. Obviously, all you have to do is go to piratecoreentertainment.com. Find out all the links. That's it. For the next episode of the podcast, we will be covering Spider-Noir that can be found on Prime Video. Season 1, episodes 5 to 8. So we're going to do the second half. So Steve and I will do that. It will probably be done within the next couple of weeks. So bear with us. I will throw out something probably within another week. So that way you guys send feedback if you want. If you do see it. So that way, I could easily keep up and not spring this stuff up upon you like a spider in the dark and throwing webs in your face. Anyhow, with that, I just want to thank everyone for listening. I'm Mark.
And I'm Steve.
Same podcast, different panel, different pixel. And this was Panels to Pixels podcast. We'll see you on the next panel. Goodbye, everybody.
Good night.